Hello there, this is the CCG Collector, and believe it or not, we've got a Middle Earth CCG video today. That's right, taking a break from all those Wyvern booster openings, and we're moving on to Middle Earth, the White Hand. Now why am I doing this? I mean, you guys know I've completed my Middle Earth CCG collection. You've seen my Collector's Legacy video that I did where I showed off all my binders. If you haven't, well, take a look, it's a good video. But why am I doing this? Well, here's the thing. I'm a collector, sure, but I also like to play the games I collect. And the problem with a game like Middle Earth is that I'm pretty much the only one that I know of that collects it, locally anyway. I mean, of course you can find people online, but if I want to play with my buddy, he's not going to have Middle Earth cards. He's not going to have a deck that he's constructed to play against me. So I've got to supply the cards myself. Now, being rather a novice at the game, remember, collector first, player second, I'm not really up to date on all the great deck strategies and all that. I mean, I don't really even have a good grasp of all the cards and what they do. My knowledge of Middle Earth is pretty much limited to the Wizards expansion, but lately I've begun to change that. Anyway, the point is, if you want to play with someone, there are a couple things you can do. You know, in Magic, you do something like a cube. You have your cube, and then whoever comes by, you draft, you each have a deck you play at that event, and then that's that, and the next time you have a different experience. Middle Earth does have something like that, and it's called the Arda variant, and instead of each player having a single deck, you have a big, tall deck of, I don't know, 500 cards or so, and the players play from that communally. So you have the shared cards, rather than drafting, you play an undrafted game, but you have the shared cards, you pull from your hands from that deck, and so on. I've actually played it recently. It's great fun. Highly recommend it. But there's another thing that Iron Crown Enterprises did. They released challenge decks. And these are pre-made decks that you can just crack open and play right away with. Again, you've seen my videos on that. You've seen me open, I think, challenge decks B and C. Those are both wizard challenge decks. And they're Middle Earth. You have a wizard, you have a party, and you have some objective in the deck. There are also 5 Ringwraith challenge decks. For those of you who don't know, Middle Earth had a number of expansions. So we began with the Wizards, and then the Dragons and Dark Minions are the 2 follow-up expansions to that. And those all dealt with the Wizard, having a Wizard-led hero party. After that, they released their second big set called The Lidless Eye. And now, instead of being a wizard trying to collect people to help fight Sauron, now you're playing the role of a Ringwraith, and you're trying to collect baddies to help support Saruman, I guess. Anyway, as a result of this, Iron Crown Enterprises produced 5 challenge decks for Ringwraiths. So now you have 10 challenge decks total. 5 Wizard, 5 Ringwraith. But that's it. Now, the thing about the challenge decks is that, the thing about Middle Earth, rather, is that the ruling body, I guess, they call themselves the Council of Elrond for obvious reasons. Think of them as the equivalent of the Star Wars CCG Players Committee, but they're basically a group of guys who are keeping the game alive. Anyway, they've come up with a number of additional challenge decks. Obviously, anyone who knows Middle Earth knows that there are 9 Ringwraiths. We only have 5 Ringwraith challenge decks. So they took it upon themselves to create another 4 Ringwraith challenge decks, but not only that. The thing about this expansion, Middle Earth the White Hand, is that it added another dimension to the game. It added the ability to play as a fallen wizard. Everyone knows I keep on saying everyone knows, maybe you don't know this, in The Lord of the Rings, spoiler alert for that 60-year-old book or whatever, one of the wizards, Saruman, the White, is what's called a fallen wizard, and he turns into Saruman of many colors. Rather than fighting the fight against Sauron, he kind of goes rogue, and he chooses to help Sauron instead, so I guess he's not really going rogue. But the point is, he is no longer fulfilling his mission as he was called to do. And this expansion, Middle Earth the White Hand, explores what would happen if each of the wizards, there are 5 in Middle Earth, there's Gandalf obviously, Saruman, Radagast, and then there are 2 others, Alatar and Palando. This explores what would happen if any of them went rogue, and it allows you to build a deck with a fallen wizard where you can use both hero creatures and characters and so on, companions, and minions as well. So you kind of play both sides. Anyway, getting back to the challenge decks. 5 wizard decks, 5 ring wraith decks. Those are the official ones. The Council of Elrond created another 4 ring wraith decks and created 5 fallen wizard decks. So instead of being led by Gandalf or Radagast, you're being led by fallen Gandalf or fallen Radagast. And they also had a hero deck that had no wizard, a minion deck that had no wizard, no ring wraith, and a Balrog deck. The final expansion of Middle Earth was called the Balrog, and it let you play as the Balrog, because one of those is powerful enough to, rival a wizard. In fact, I believe it's the same spirit or type of entity as a wizard is, which is why Gandalf and the Balrog were so equally matched in strength. The point is, there are now more than 10 challenge decks. There are 22 challenge decks, but if I want to have more than 10, I have to build them myself. I figured I would start with the White Hand. Why do I start with the White Hand? Well, this is a fairly inexpensive, as far as booster boxes go, box to come by. It contains 36 packs. Each pack has 2 rares, 4 uncommons, and 6 commons. So if you've seen my Against the Shadow booster opening video, you'll know this follows a very similar format to that. But it's about a quarter of the price of an Against the Shadow booster box. And I don't know if that's just that they had increased production, or if this one didn't have rare ones, extremely rare cards that were difficult to find. This does not have those, Against the Shadow did. Or if just the idea of playing as a Fallen Wizard just wasn't that appealing to people. The fact that it was kind of a standalone instead of building on any of the previous expansions, I don't know. The point is, this is inexpensive enough that with 72 rares in here, as long as you're paying about 70 or fewer dollars per box, you're probably going to get your money back. All right, so let's get to booster opening. Sorry I did not call out at the beginning of the video to jump to this timestamp, but I'm sure it was all good information just the same. So I'm going to open this booster box. And I think this is the first time on my channel that I've ever done a proper booster box break, where I have a sealed booster box, and you actually see me take the seal off and open it, and here we go. Look at all these packs. So like I said, we've got 36 of them. I will open 6 today and save another 6 for a later video, and the rest 4 videos after that for another day. Let's get started. Now, you've probably seen, I have said this many times in this video, but you have probably seen some of my other videos where I've opened lots of Middle Earth cards, and occasionally, most of the time they're the Wizards expansion, or base set, which makes sense, but occasionally they would have these cards. I really love that green color, by the way, but it would have these cards from the different sets. But I only have maybe, 40 or so cards from the White Hand, so this seems like as good a way as any to get more. Pack contents: 4 uncommons, 2 rares, 6 commons. So let's go through these one by one. They're fairly new to me. I think the set is very interesting, very appealing, but I don't know much about it, so we're going to learn together. We're not going to learn together. That is a lot of text, and I will make this video even longer if I go through them. But we'll see. Fortress of the Towers, Huntsman's Garb, a Strident Spawn, Grey Embassy, Flotsam and Jetsam, and Liquid Fire. Well, let's look at the rares at least. So this one says, if a player has 15 or fewer cards in his playdeck, 20 or fewer if a Fallen Wizard, all effects are automatically cancelled, which allow him to search through or look at any portion of his playdeck or discard pile outside of the normal sequence of play. Discard when any playdeck is exhausted, cannot be duplicated. Maybe that's another reason that interest started to wane at this point, because cards started looking more like that. And who has time for that, right? Liquid Fire. Technology, special item, playable at a tapped or untapped Shadowhold, Darkhold, or a site with Dwarf automatic attack. Oh, that's cool. Discard to cause all strikes from all attacks of a non-dragon, non-Nazgul, non-Balrog creature. Key to a sight to fail. Resulting body checks for the creature are modified by -2. Very cool. Then here is a little rules insert. Let's see. Oh, I say a little. It is actually a good-sized rules insert. Wow. So, of course, this goes over some of the concepts of the game. The big thing is stage points and stage resources. So stage resources are these greenish looking ones and can only be used in a Fallen Wizard deck. Stage points are little gear icons, and there are a lot of cards in this set that say you either must have a certain amount of stage points to play it or that add to your stage points. And these stage points are gears because Saruman's departure from his path was represented by him using machinery, like you saw that blasting fire or whatever it was before. But the more stage points you have, the further you've strayed from your initial objective. And let's just see here. I'm kind of looking at the victory conditions, seeing where these come into play. If there's a purpose of these besides just playing certain cards. Free council is handled, may win, marshalling points. You do not receive marshalling points. Special orc control rules, optional rules, playing using resources. Yeah, that'll have to come in a later booster opening video where I explain all that stuff. Alright, crept along cleverly. So now we're on the uncommons. Sly Southerner. Beasts of the Wood, Animal Faction. Okay. Double Dealing. Roscabel. That's interesting. It's probably not the right way to pronounce it, but this is apparently a haven, a wizard haven for Radagast, which is kind of cool. Then Bad Company. Alright, I'm not going to take as long to go through all the rest of these. Probably. Who knows? I might get caught up in this. You know, I love this stuff. I love collecting these cards. I haven't opened a booster pack like this in so long. So it's really exciting for me too, actually. I've probably been over a year, maybe 2 years since I've opened Middle Earth booster packs and never a white hand. So that's fantastic. Alright. Shameful Deeds. Playable if you are not Alatar and have more than 6 stage points. Hazards with an asterisk attack your companies normally, not as detainment. That refers to a lidless eye rule, which, you know, we'll deal with later. Let's see. Such hazards give full marshalling points, but you receive no kill marshalling points from other hazards. Oh, that's interesting. So basically, this is saying that... Okay, I said we'll go into it later. We'll go into it now. Companies can attack as what's called a detainment. And if memory serves, because it's been a while, I've never actually played under these rules, but it's been a while since I've looked them up. A detainment attack attacks normally, but never wounds a character that it targets. It only taps it. So that represents, like, if kind of... I'm trying to think of what a good example would be. But, like, if you think of maybe it's in the Two Towers when Frodo and Sam stumble upon that little Osgiliath, is that it? Well, it's wherever Faramir and the rest are. And they get captured. So they're kind of rivals, you know, even though they're both on the same side, it's caused them distress, it's hung them up. And that's what a detainment attack represents. Someone that's not out to kill you, but is still causing you trouble. This card is saying, as far as I can tell, that you only get marshalling points from detainment attacks, and you don't get them from when you're fighting off other ones. So that's kind of neat. Now, and you see here, each of these cards has the gear symbol on it, which is stage points. You play a card, you get the stage points for it. Many colored robes. Oh, and that's got a lot going on here. Okay, so the White Council, this is our first rare. Playable during your organization phase in your marshalling point pile. If your wizard is in a haven and you have more marshalling points than your opponent, your opponent must be a fallen wizard or a wizard. It cannot be duplicated on a given turn. So what does this do? Playable during your organization phase. Your opponent must be... But what does it do? Does it just give you the marshalling points? I mean, I'm not sure. Okay. And then Winged Change Master. Holy cow. Radagast specific shapeshifter. Place him. That's interesting. So it looks like this overlaps Radagast and gives him a new set of attributes. 19 mind control, 18 influence, and 1 stage point. Very cool. Another one of these guys, and then Hidden Haven, Isengard, Bad Company, Alatar, A Merrier World. Ooh, Alatar, nice. Okay, and Ire of the East. So, in the Wizards expansion, all of the expansion, I keep calling it expansion, the Wizards base set, all of the Wizards would show up in fixed packs. So you could only get Wizards in starter decks. The White Hand, because the idea is that you kind of wanted to have one to play in your deck, and you needed a consistent way of getting them. In the White Hand, there were no starter decks, so these are the most common card. If you know of my other... If you know about Rarity, okay, this is what's called a common 4. It appears 4 times on the common sheet, more than any other card. So when you're filling out a booster pack like this, you are more likely to get one of those than any other card. Anyway, this is what a Fallen Wizard looks like. I'm just kind of reading it myself, seeing if it's worth worth calling out anything specifically, but then you guys can read it as well. Very cool. Pack number 3. What are we, 15 minutes in? Pack number 3. But this is good stuff. It's interesting stuff. It's fun stuff. It's not just cracking open a booster pack. We're learning about the game, and we're having a great time. So, Guarded Haven. Site is protected. Whatever. Oh, Guarded Haven again. Interesting. Longing for the West. Master of Shapes. Another Radagast specific. I wonder if there have been any other Wizard-specific cards. I just haven't been looking at them, I guess. Goblin Faces, which is a rare. And Saruman's Ring. Okay, so that's Saruman specific. Makes sense. Other than the one ring. Oh, that's cool. So play it on Saruman, then you may tap it to take a ring item from your discard pile into your hand. Alright, very cool. And I think these are the most desirable cards. These, so this actually... Okay, I was about to say this doesn't say Fallen Saruman specific, but the fact that it is a stage card, indicated by this green rather than the brownish, I don't know if there's a brown anywhere, the brown of the standard resource cards means that you can probably only include it in a Fallen Wizard deck. Anyway, these are the most sought after cards, I believe, in the set, these items that the Fallen Wizards can have. So that's kind of neat. Foul Tooth Unsheathed. Gatherer of Loyalties, Fallen Gandalf, and right next to him, Fallen Palando, Ire of the East, and Crept Along Cleverly. Gosh, the artwork got so much better as the sets went on, and I suppose it's when you're successful, and artists are no longer taking a chance on you or vice versa. You have more money, and you can say, you know what, I'm going to pay someone like Quentin Hoover, I'm going to pay someone like Liz Danforth or whoever to do the art on these. And if you guys have only seen the Wizards booster opening videos, this is a clear jump in quality. This is fantastic. Moving on to pack number 4. And we start with Guarded Haven, and Guarded Haven again. Well, that's very interesting. The same 4 uncommons, I believe in the same order as well, showed up in this pack. Guarded Haven, Longing for the West, Master of Shapes. Guarded Haven, Longing for the West, Master of Shapes. Well, hopefully those are good cards. Alright, The Great Hunt. Whoa, that's cool. What is that? Alatar slaying a dragon? Dang. Playable if you're Alatar and have at least 12 stage points. Ooh, that's a lot. Reveal cards one at a time from his play deck or discard pile, your choice. Any hazard creature immediately attacks Alatar's company. The process stops when 5 creatures or all cards of the deck have been revealed. Thereafter, your opponent discards face up. Whenever your opponent discards a creature, you may choose to have it attack Alatar's company instead. Cannot be duplicated. Holy cow, that is awesome. That is so cool. So basically, it's nice being able to attack your company or your opponent because, you know, you might kill some of their characters, you might make it difficult for them to do what they want to do, but you also give them marshalling points if they defeat your minions or the creatures that you send against them. So maybe you think, okay, well, this is one that they'll easily defeat. I don't want to give them the marshalling points. I'm just going to discard it at the end of my turn. You discard it. Well, Alatar's on the hunt, and he says, no, send him my way. I will slay that thing, and I will take its marshalling points. That is so cool. Inorat. Corruption. Whoa, receives 1 corruption point. Fallen wizard receives 2 stage points. Corruption points are instead 4 if he has more than 18 stage points, 3 if more than 11, 2 if more than 5, 1 if it's more than 0. Use the first that applies. Makes a corruption check whenever his controlling player plays the stage card. Wow. Fallen Plando again, crept along cleverly, Fallen Gandalf, Blasting Fire, Blind to the West. That is a very interesting art style. You know, the one thing that is kind of, I don't know if it's really a problem, but it's noticeable with a game like Magic the Gathering now, is that all the art is really, really good, photorealistic or darn near it, but that means that all the art looks the same, you know? And so the nice thing about having good artists is that you don't have goofy looking things like this. Sorry, Frederick Haas, but it's goofy looking. But it also means that you don't have very, I don't want to say iconic, because I don't know what else Pascal Young does, but very striking styles like this. I mean, this is much different than a lot of the other cards, how they look. And Quentin Hoover is another one that some people just collect all of the cards with his artwork from across all sorts of games, because he has such a distinct style. It almost looks like stained glass, the way he paints his artwork. And this is cool too. It just looks so distinct from any of the other cards. Blind to the West. And then Wizards Myrmidon. All commons, yep. Alright. Next up, pack number 5. We start with Open to the Summons. Play one of the minion company. Okay, what are those? Dwarves? Half orcs? That's interesting. So this is a staged faction. This is actually one that you recruit. It's not one you send against people or one that you have, you know, in your company. It's actually one that you recruit. If you have a certain card in play and you have a strong influence check. Wild Hounds. Never Refuse. Okay. Ooh, and there's Radagast's shapeshift. Wait a second. No. We already have this one, don't we? Oh, no. So it looks like Radagast has a number of shape-shifting cards on him. That's cool. Winged Changemaster, Shifter of Hues, and Wizard's Trove. Ooh. Play the White Tree at one of your Wizard Havens if its sapling is stored there. White Tree is worth full marshalling points. Wizard Haven is protected. Ignore the text of the White Tree. Very cool. And then you can store any miscellaneous marshalling point card at a Wizard Haven, no matter where it would normally say to store it. That's pretty cool. Thrall of the Voice, Bad Company, Blasting Fire, Wizard's Myrmidon again, Squint-Eyed Brute, and Isengard. Now this is a Fallen Wizard Haven, I believe. Yeah, it's kind of grayish instead of dark gray or white. It's kind of in between. Last pack, what do we get? What do we get? There we go. Okay, Open to the Summons and Half Orcs again, and Wild Hounds, and Never Refuse. Oh boy. Luckily I'm not doing this for the uncommons. Well, I might be. I don't know what these challenge decks that I have to build contain. Arcane School, Palando specific, playable on your non-habit, non-dwarf Sage at one of your Wizard Havens or in your starting company. And that Sage may use Sorcery, Spirit Magic, and Shadow Magic. And power relinquished to Artifice. Whoa. Look, have we had a rare card that hasn't packed the box with text? Prowess, direct influence, -1. Oof. Okay, so that's why you don't want a lot of stage points, because the more you have, the worse cards like this are for you. Use the modifier to 0 for prowess. Huh. Alright, and then the White Towers, Echoes of the Song, a Panoply of Wings, Panoply, Ill-Favored Fellow, Gatherer of Loyalties, and Noble Steed. Alright. Well, that's it. That is the 6 packs of Middle Earth, the White Hand. As you can probably tell, I had an absolute blast opening these, and I can't wait to open more in the future. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.